Hello and welcome to Auto Trader Carology Bite Size, our video series where we connect with Canadian automotive industry experts to bring you the latest news and trends shaping the automotive landscape. I'm Maisa Kubia, B2B Marketing Manager here at Auto Trader. And today I'll be joined by Barish Akaryuk, our Vice President of Insights and Intelligence. Barish is here to walk us through some of the key highlights from the latest Auto Trader Price Index report. We'll discuss how vehicle prices have been trending so far this year, along with various market dynamics influencing new and used car prices. Barish, thank you very much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the invite and welcome to the program.
Can you give us a quick run-through of the top 3 takeaways from the Q1 Auto Trader Price Index?
So where do I start from? Obviously, it's been an interesting year. Let's put it that way.
Certainly has.
Yes. So maybe a very short, high-level overview of 2024. New car sales were pretty strong. They were up in not in double digits, but they were up by I think 8.2% on a year-over-year basis. Used cars were pretty much flat, down slightly. Used car prices came down by 12.1% for the entire year. Demand was there. Things were normalized. And then in November, the elections happened down in the U.S. And on January 20th, a new president started his job in the United States, and things have changed since then. So, so maybe just high-level summary of Q1 so far. It was a strong January for both new and used vehicle sales. As I mentioned, the run rate, so to speak, was pretty strong from end of last year. So the trend continued into January. February was a bit iffy, both for new and used. Yeah. 2 reasons. One, if you remember the snowstorm in Ontario, yes. Quebec was pretty bad too. And also the quite a bit of uncertainty around tariffs, obviously. And March was pretty strong. So it's been a bit of a roller coaster Q1. So what we are seeing right now is that March was pretty good, both new and used. And we know that the reason for that is consumers accelerated their purchases in order to prevent from paying more for the vehicles that they're interested in. Yeah. Why? Obviously, when these tariffs are in place, there's going to be some impact on new car prices, which is inevitable. And we know that that's going to drive some consumers away, and that's going to drive some consumers from new to used, and that's going to drive more consumers shopping for used vehicles in order to prevent for more again down the line. So far, that's maybe the high-level summary of the first quarter. So the demand is there so far in March and April, so far into April, both for new and used. That's probably key takeaway number 1. And number 2, obviously, so we've talked about the demand, the supply. Let's talk about supply really briefly. So new car supply it's there. It's actually, we are above 2019 levels. So there's no issues as it is. Looking at the cars that we have on the site and looking at the current sales pace, we have over 60 days worth of supply on the new side, meaning that these inevitable tariff impact on prices, we can absorb some of that on for the new side. And so far, we haven't seen big fluctuation in new car prices, mostly because of that. But on the other hand, when we look at the supply for used vehicles, that's a different story. So in this forum and different forums, I've talked a lot about the impact of COVID on the used car supply. So we estimated that 1.5 million fewer new cars were sold between 2020 and 2023. Obviously, because these cars were never sold, they'll never make it to the used side.
Yeah.
So as it is, the supply is a bit constrained. And now add the increase on used car demand to this equation. right? So the demand's increased and supply is constrained. What happens to the prices, which is our probably the third takeaway? Prices have already started to pick up slightly especially for used. In March, it was up by 0.3% on a month-over-month basis, which is, when you think about it, it's not a big number, but it's unseasonal. Usually what happens with used car prices is that used car prices start on the higher side and they come down throughout the year. And in March, we saw a little bit of an uptick. And still a few more days to go till the end of April, but we are seeing a similar trend in April as well. So
you mentioned that there's a little bit of an uptick in March.
Yeah.
So what do you think is going to happen for the rest of the year?
Thanks for the difficult question. I don't want to speculate. Look, I'm not going to say it's going to be whatever X, Y, Z dollars, but I can tell you that assuming that these dynamics don't change, I think car prices will go up both for new and used. As mentioned, the demand is there both for new and used for now. And the supply is going to be a little tricky, especially on the used side. So when a situation like that happens, obviously prices are just a manifestation of these market dynamics, and we expect to see a bit of an increase in prices. But that said, I think one nuance that I need to mention here is that, you know how we were talking about the used car supply? So when we did this analysis back in the day, when the Canadian dollar is weak against the American dollar, we export a lot of used vehicles down to the US, right? It's cheaper. They come up and they buy wholesale. So right now we are sitting around 0.7, something along those lines. So it's Canadian dollar is pretty weak as it is. But because of the tariffs that are applied, obviously they apply to used vehicles as well. So probably we are going to be exporting fewer cars down to the US.
Okay.
Therefore, that's going to help with the used car supply situation a bit in Canada. So that's the silver lining. But
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
We'll end it on a good note.
Let's end it on a good note.
It's always great to have you, Baris, and we'll be sure to bring you back for more automotive industry insights, for sure. So thanks again for joining us. And thank you to everyone for tuning into today's AutoTrader Carology Bite Size. To explore the latest AutoTrader price index or gain deeper insights into automotive trends and consumer research, be sure to follow autotrader.ca on LinkedIn or visit our newsroom at go.trader.ca/newsroom. We look forward to seeing you next time on AutoTrader Carology Bite Size.